Are you seeking a better way to accelerate your sales, to scale your business, to live a life with no limits? Accelerate Sales Podcast features global experts who have cracked the code to recurring revenues with proven sales systems and get you on the fast track to scaling. Now let's accelerate your sales with today's episode.
Hi, I'm Paul Higgins, and welcome to the Accelerate Sales Podcast, episode number 423. You're going to learn three key things from our guest today. One is YouTube, and more importantly, what you do on YouTube, how you start, what the format is, and also how you use it to build your list and also build your bank account. The next is how your platform that you sell could integrate with Airtable. And the third thing is how you or your clients could use it. And it's fantastic examples are given. If you're first time, please subscribe if you love what you hear. If you're a regular, welcome those reviews. You can get the show notes summaries on what you're listening to. There's a full, more detailed summary at paulhigginsmentoring.com, and you can always ask for the transcript as well. And before we go in and talk to Gareth, I'd like to thank our sponsors. The first one is the Cloud Consultants Collective. It's a peer-minded community where we help each other out as cloud consultants. You can find out more at cloudconsultantscollective.com, and it is free. And SendSpark is a wonderful video platform that helps you better engage, so share you as the face of your business. And you can get 6 months for free by going to paulhigginsmentoring.com/SendSpark, and that'll be in the show notes. So our guest today is Gareth Pronovost. He's a leading consultant and influencer in the no-code software space. He's got an amazing YouTube channel, as I've said, produces weekly content, and it really demonstrates how you use Airtable, Zapier, Make, and others. And he's grown his company now to serve thousands of clients by education, but also he does a lot of work with consulting and also custom projects. And he's also envisions the future of work, which we are all empowered to build smarter systems support our work that will allow us to reclaim our personal time and stay more organized. Don't we all need that in our lives? So what I'll do now is hand you over to Gareth Pronovost from Gap Consulting. Gareth, great to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, same here. I've been following your work for a long time. You've got a fantastic YouTube channel that I often duck in and watch as a Airtable user. But today we're here to talk about more than that. And why don't we just sort of kick off to give everyone a flavor for what you do is, who do you love to work with and what are some of the problems you solve for them?
Oh, this answer to this question has evolved so much just over the last few months. It used to be that we targeted predominantly the small to medium business that needed to improve their systems. And I'm sure a lot of folks can relate to this because I know when I started my business, I felt like my own systems weren't really in place and I overworked, right? I put in way more hours than I needed to because things weren't, properly organized and properly automating in the background. And so those are the folks that we help. The reason I say that this is evolving, though, is because as Airtable, one of the softwares that we use most predominantly, is growing and attracting new users, we're starting to find more and more enterprise-level clients, Fortune 100 companies coming in and saying, we need to roll this out to a team of thousands. So it's a really fun space to be in, but we help everybody in terms of size. The key thing for us is that our clients want to improve systems.
Yeah, great. And just sort of give us, I don't know if you can give us an example, don't have to use names, but what would an enterprise client typically ask you to do as if there is a typical project?
Yeah, well, the fun thing about Airtable and any relational database is you can build it to be whatever you want. So it's like a box of Lego in a sense, right? You can tweak it and create whatever you can imagine. Generally, when these enterprise style or enterprise level clients are coming to us, it's almost always a department within the organization that has a specific broken process that they can't figure out. So, just communicating information downstream from wherever its source of origin is or its origin is. And as people work on that information throughout the process of whatever this is, stuff is getting lost, right? People are dropping balls. I remember when, before I used relational databases in my work, spreadsheets were kind of my go-to.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of folks can relate to that. And the problem there is if you have a local, version of a spreadsheet on your desktop or on your laptop, you might be making changes. Other people might not be seeing them. Even if, you are doing it properly in the cloud on, let's say, Google Sheets or something, there are limitations to the tool, and it's not as robust as the database. So this is where I think a lot of those enterprise clients come in. And now contrast that, though, to the small to medium business client that we get to work with, where we can literally build an entire app for these folks that runs their business. One client that we're working with right now, and I don't mind talking about them because it's my wife's business, is a dog grooming business. She has a mobile dog grooming, several trucks that go around the area, and you make an appointment in advance. The groomer shows up, and everything is handled there, and it's nice and stress-free. The entire software that is being built, the back end engine of it is an Airtable database, and then we layer other tools on top of it, which we can talk about. That basically make an app out of, without with only a few lines of code in her case, but usually with no code at all.
Yes.
And it costs a fraction of what it would cost if you hired developers to build just an app from scratch.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I must admit that's changed our life. We used to take our dog down to the the local groomer, and she knew the route, or the route. Depends where you are in the world, but yes, as soon as you got on that particular street, she would be hysterical, and the whole time, and they'd all say, "Oh, she's a lovely dog, but she's so hard to deal with." Now, someone comes to our house, but the other day she's walked down the hallway. We've got quite a long hallway. She's seen the guy's face, and she stopped. The tails dropped, and then she slowly turned around. Head in the other direction. But
it's funny you bring that up, because these are things I didn't know about before I had some disposable income. When I was working in a corporate job and I was just kind of making ends meet, I would have never had, the funds to say, yeah, let's spend $300 to have somebody come out and groom the dog. But in some ways, I think her business is something we realized was an opportunity because of successes that we've had in other areas. So it's fun how you're able to level up like that in life, but that's a different topic.
yeah, great. But it's a brilliant service, and I'm sure a few treats and the fact that she's not far from home has definitely helped. But it's not about my dog; it's about you today. So, as far as the sales process, so like you said, you're focused mainly on SMB. You've still got some of those, but you've enterprise. What's changed in your sales process between an enterprise client and an SMB, or maybe nothing's changed?
Our sales process has stayed the same. What has changed is the evolving relationship we have with the software itself. So Airtable is at a position now where they are embracing the community that is built up around it, the community of consultants, of which we are, a member. Prior to this, and this is a recent development in the last year or so, prior to this, it's almost like we succeeded in spite of Airtable, not because of them. Not that it's their job to help us at all, right? It's our business to manage our own business as consultants, but there was no interaction with Airtable, with the team, nothing. It's only been in the last year, as I said, that this is starting to change, and it's very exciting because it's a huge opportunity. An introduction to a Fortune 100 company can produce hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of revenue. You work with one team, you do a good job. There are thousands of teams within the organization, and this thing can really snowball if you know what you're doing. So we've had great success with that, and in fact, I suspect we're going to close another 2 enterprise accounts here in the next 60 days, which is incredibly exciting for us.
Brilliant. And could you see that? One of the reasons that you went with Airtable, was it because you could foresee that that's the way they were going to go, or is it just that's the way they've gone?
Gosh, I wish I could pretend to be that smart, Paul, but this was a happy accident. Gosh, the truth of it is, I found Airtable some 4 years ago or so, and I thought, there's no way that this can do everything I can imagine. There's no way I could do this thing. Let me see if I can break it. Like, I'm going to try and see where its limitations are. And I kept going further than I thought I could go. And that just made me say, I've got to share this with the world. And so that's kind of been our approach, not to get too far off topic there, but our approach has always been, let's educate people about what this can do. And certainly a small percentage, it can be a tiny percent, it could be 1%, it could be less than 1%, but they will have a need to hire us. They'll say, gosh, either this is really cool what you just showed me, but I don't have the patience to do it, or I love your work and I just love to hire you guys, or whatever the case may be. That was the premise that we established this company on some 4 years ago or so, and it's worked quite well.
Yeah, and as far as the Airtable, like roughly how many partners are there in the ecosystem at the moment?
Well, they're beta testing this ecosystem for consultants right now. In the greater ecosystem, I'd say there are probably hundreds, maybe not quite hundreds, but dozens. Yeah. In the private ecosystem, which is being beta tested by Airtable, I think there's probably about 24 or thereabouts.
Yeah, brilliant, great. So you're a big fish in a small pond, which is always good. And how are they making decisions as to which accounts get allocated to which partners?
Yeah, great question that I probably would like a little more transparency on. So at this point, it seems to be folks that we've built a relationship with so each enterprise account has a representative inside of Airtable that advocates for them.
Yes.
And there's now a head of partnership inside of Airtable. My suspicion is that the representative on the account brings it to the head of partnership and says what partners would be a good fit, and then introductions go from there. I'm sure all the partners have some different strengths and weaknesses, that Airtable is probably more considerate about than we are. From our perspective, we have more work than we can possibly accomplish. We seem to be in a perpetual cycle of hiring more people. So if we lose out on one account, it's not the end of the world. We're doing pretty well anyway.
Yeah, look, that's a brilliant place to be in, and we'll talk about team in a moment. But just on do they competitively pitch you as a partner, or if you're allocated, you're the only person in the line?
We've seen both. We were introduced to a partner that was considering a couple of different options, and then we also just had a personalized introduction that, in fact, Airtable said that, these enterprise licenses are quite massive. 7 to 8 figure deals that these enterprise clients are signing with Airtable as a software. And in one case, I think they'd allocated some credits and said, certain amount of any money you need for consulting, we're going to cover. So in fact, we're expecting to invoice Airtable for that particular client, and they named us specifically. So we've seen a little bit of everything. I think it's still so early in the development of this program that we need to be flexible, and we'll just see how it evolves. But it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, it's brilliant, right? And you've got to ride that wave while it's there. But I know you've also been great in generating your own leads, and that's through, as you said, education and YouTube. Just tell us a little bit why you, when you started YouTube, why you started, and what's it sort of done for your business as far as leads.
I can't say enough good things about YouTube. It's an amazing tool. And I personally never looked at myself and thought I would want to be, micro famous or, have the status of influencer, which I really oppose, but it's sometimes slapped on you without your permission. Listen, this all started because I thought Airtable was an incredible tool, and I looked online for help, and I didn't see things that were easily accessible that I could just get in and roll up my sleeves with. And I was definitely thoughtful of the fact that this could be a marketing strategy. I was not ever expecting it to be as successful as it was. So I've over the years cultivated a very specific style to our videos and a very specific framework. So anybody listening who's considering YouTube, this is my own personal framework that I happily share, but I would say, take what you like from it and tweak it and make it yours. The most interesting thing to me is that most YouTubers are looking for influencer status. And I have 20,000 subscribers now on our channel. I couldn't care less about how many subscribers we have. I care way more about how many people take the next step with us, which is get on our email list. Yeah. And so we have a free offer. So my goal in every video, the framework is a very quick intro hook. Then I share my logo reveal with you so that you remember my company. In fact, my hat, which I'm wearing right now, has my logo on it. And I'm wearing this in every single video as well so that people remember that logo. Then from there, I really quickly advertise whatever opt-in I have that makes sense for the topic of the video. So let's suppose we're talking about automation. I would tell you, hey, I've got this great automation webinar. It's going to teach you the fundamentals. You can check it out and get access here. And when you go there, you're going to have to provide your email address. That matters way more to me than subscribers on YouTube, how many likes I have on the platform, all of that stuff. So the thing I find interesting about most folks on YouTube or influencers in general, they don't advocate for themselves. They look for ad money. They'll say, how many dollars am I producing in YouTube advertising dollars? Who cares? It's pennies, right?
Yes.
It's pennies. You turn those people into leads that you can engage in your system with. Automated email funnels, you build it once, right? And it continues to work in the background for you. And one sale is going to eclipse all of those advertising dollars. Don't be silly. It's an interesting perspective that people get in that influencer mindset, I think. But I use YouTube to run a business. And so I don't really care too much about ads. I care way more about you taking the next step with us. Yeah,
great. So you've got the intro, the logo, then you've got the opt-in. Then what comes after that?
And this should all happen for me within a minute to a minute and a half.
Yeah.
After that, we're launching into the actual video itself. One thing that I do, so in our videos, we're always talking about software. How do you do something in Airtable? How do you do something in Zapier? How do you, create something in software? So they're always looking at screen shares for the most part. There's always an element of here I'm clicking here and I'm writing a formula or building an automation. One thing I think is really important here in the meat of the video, the actual video topic itself. I personally think it's important to keep your face on the screen because you're building a relationship with the person who is watching this. And I've had people leave comments on our YouTube channel before and say, hey, it's not that you're a bad looking guy, but get rid of that thing. I don't need it. And I've always ignored those comments because for me personally, it's really important that we're establishing the know, like, trust factor, right? And this is how you scale with YouTube. And if people are going to want to work with us in the future, they have to recognize me and say, that guy's helped me before, hey, he's helped me for free. He's never asked for anything. And now that I have this complicated project that might cost $6,000, who else am I going to hire? Well, his firm, because he's done this for me already.
Yes. Brilliant. And so you've got...
And then, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go. Next.
We solve the problem, whatever the topic is, right?
Yeah.
And then at the very end, there's a quick outro. And it's pre-recorded. It's the same one every time, where I say, hey, please subscribe to this channel if you found this valuable. I know I said I don't care about subscribers. I do a little bit, but it's not my number one metric. So please subscribe if you found this valuable so that we can show up in your feed again in the future. And here's some ways that we can help if you're ever looking for some help. And then we talk about a few different services, provide links, the end, get out of there. And of course, with YouTube, it allows you to also do some end screen stuff. So you can put up click this video, which might be something else you want to watch. So obviously, YouTube's goal is to keep people engaged on YouTube. Our goal is to keep them engaged with our content on YouTube until they're ready to engage with our other content on our site. So
brilliant. And like, how much time a week are you spending on YouTube?
Oh, So now that I have an assistant, thank goodness for him, about 2 hours a week is my personal commitment. It used to be about 5.
Right. Okay. So you started with more now. You're getting better and better at it. So it's less. And if someone like you're sitting here listening to Gareth and you're thinking, I know this works. I've got Paul Miners in our community.
Right.
He's done a brilliant job in his field, which is more Asana, pipe drive, etc. But it works really well. But most people are like, I don't look great to camera. I'd rather jump out of the building than do YouTube.
Sure.
What can you say to someone watching right now or listening now with that mindset? How did you what was your trick in overcoming that? Because I'm sure you had some doubts to begin with.
Oh my gosh, so many doubts. And every single video that I did in the first year, if I go back and watch it, it's cringeworthy now, right? For so many reasons.
Yeah.
One, I wasn't taking care of my health and I feel like I didn't look good. So, I feel like I wasn't looking at my best.
Yeah.
Number two, my editing was awful. Like it's just awful. In fact, I think at one point I had a fracture in my camera lens that, kind of made a sun glare. And so it's like this ghostly apparition, like moving on the screen for like 6 months worth of videos. So anyway, anybody listening who's thinking, I know that I should do this, or I hear people tell me I should, but I can't bring myself to do it. I would simply say everybody I know who has a YouTube channel that's doing well today felt that way in the beginning. So you're in great company. The trick is to just take the first step and to acknowledge that your first 20 attempts are not going to be good. And that's okay, because it's the 21st attempt that matters, right? I liken this to working out. If you make a commitment to, you say, hey, I'm going to start exercising. You are going to lift weights today or go for a run today or whatever it is. You're not going to see immediate results tomorrow, right? But 30 days from now, after you've practiced this for a while, you're going to be faster, you're going to be stronger, and you're going to start seeing, the improvements that you're looking for. It's the same really with anything in life. You don't get it right first time out the gate. Allow yourself some grace and just know that it's not going to be perfect. And that's not the point. The point is that you try.
It's spot on. And like you said, if there's a gap in the market, so if no one's doing it well in the platform that you're representing, right, you've only got to be better than that, right? You don't have to be the best. And, I think we all do it, but we go and see these people that, it's their living to do YouTube and it looks all fantastic, like Pat Flynn as an example. It looks amazing. Like you said, I think a lot of people think about them, right? But it's your audience. Like you said, it's like, what can I do to help the audience? And therefore, it's not about you, it's about them. And if you can get to the them part and worry less about you, I was the same with podcasts. Like if you're new to listening to me, go back and listen to the first few. It wasn't even branded this. It wasn't branded Sales Accelerator or Accelerate Sales, I should say, in the first place. And I was mumbling and couldn't get my words right and all of that, right? So everyone goes on that journey, but I think it's an incredible, for the members of our community, the Cloud Consultants Collective, the ones that are doing YouTube are doing exceptionally well, because you said it before, like Airtable are going through a great rise at the moment, but what happens if they change strategy? Someone new comes in, whatever. I don't think you can ever be beholden to your partner. We were, and we had 80 leads turn off overnight, right? Oh. So we were complacent. The leads were coming in. It was a beautiful thing. They changed strategy and then all of a sudden, bang. So I think it's really important to have your own asset, and it doesn't have to be YouTube per se. It could be a podcast. It's just something that is educating that creates that point of difference. And just quickly on the video part, if you go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/video, I've got all of the setup that I use. It's not overly expensive, but it's all there, the lighting, everything. And it's all attainable in a week. And, if the equipment is what's, one of the reasons that you're not doing it, that can be easily solved. So you've got this list, right? Which is great. You're getting people from YouTube onto your list. What are you doing with the list? How often you're sending emails, what's in them? Love to know a little bit about that.
Well, we're currently revamping what our email funnel looks like. Yeah. Historically, what we have done is cultivated new leads, provided value in whatever lead magnet they signed up for, followed up on the lead magnet a couple days later. Hey, did you get a chance to watch the training or blah, blah, blah? And then send, a case study here. Here's somebody who implemented this successfully, some things of that nature. And then historically, what we've done at this point is then talk about our course. And the reason for that was our course is a high profit margin item, and it's easily scalable within our organization. If you buy my course, the marginal cost to me to produce that course or to provide that course is zero. So please buy it, and it's wonderful, right? But what we're finding as we evolve more into working with larger clients is fewer people want to learn how to do it themselves, and more people want us to just do it for them.
Yes.
For this reason, we're slightly tweaking the sales funnel or the email funnel. And I don't have any numbers for you yet because this is still in progress. But what we're going to be sharing now in place of the course is effectively a way to educate people about our services. And we're doing it in a way that I hope is not, I've always resisted being a direct sales approach. I don't want to hit somebody over the head with a hammer and say, buy this thing.
Yes.
It's just never resonated with me as a person. And so what instead we're doing is talking about the adoption life cycle. When you, the client, start to use a new tool, what are the phases that you go through? And so we're talking about those phases and how can we help if you get stuck at any point in this process? Oh, Gap Consulting has a service for that. We either have a course to help you train your team, or we can build it for you, or whatever the case may be. So like I said, we don't have any data to go back and tell you how it's working, but it sounds good in concept. So stay tuned.
Right. So if I take it right, that's sort of your nurture sequence, which, like you
exactly.
said, you're twisting. What about ongoing? Are you sending, weekly emails, etc.?
Absolutely.
What's the format?
Weekly emails, very simple and very quick and to the point. It's just new content. So this is a North Star metric for us, is providing quality content every Monday. If we are missing that mark, something is awry. I say that having I think in the 4 years we've done this, I think we might have missed 3 or 4 Mondays. One of them I was ill. One of them, my daughter was born. So these are big deals, right?
Yes, yes.
So this is very important to us that we get those out. And the reason for that is YouTube rewards consistency. So we want to stay top of mind for anybody on YouTube. But also we want to make it as hard as possible for our competition to keep up. So we want to make sure that we are the go-to source for all of these things on YouTube.
Yeah, brilliant.
And so every Monday we send out a new video. We produce a new video, and then we send out an email to our list. And the most important thing, if anybody has a list that they email weekly, we see sales happen on Monday in courses, in people requesting to meet with us, just from that touch point. And it's, again, another non-pushy way that we ask for sales is in my email signature. Every Monday it says, so there's all the value in the email, plus a video and all of this. Go to here to watch the full version. And then at the bottom it says, P.S. when you're ready, here are a few ways that we can help you. And it lists out a few of our different services with links to the appropriate parts on our site. And I didn't always include this, but once I started including it, oh my goodness, Monday mornings are my favorite time of day, because I'm not even sending out a sales email, right? And all of a sudden sales start happening. It's just the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think it's a good to do that on your normal email signature as well, right? Because you just never know when someone is ready to buy, right? There's 3% of people, as a rough rule of thumb, are ready to buy right now, but you still got to nurture the 97, which I think you do exceptionally well. And we talked a little bit at the top around Zapier. You sort of mentioned integrations. What are some of the common platforms that Airtable works really well with? Is there any that sort of come to mind for maybe you're a partner and you're thinking, I love what Gareth's talking about. I've got a gap in this relational database, but I don't know if Airtable would work well with what I'm consulting and selling to. So give us some thoughts there.
Definitely. So I think of the full suite of tools here, at least from our perspective, full suite of tools is Airtable as the data. This is where we keep the stuff, keep the information. Zapier or Make, formerly Integromat, to move that data around, right? So nobody works in just one system. So yeah, we talk about Airtable being a single source of truth, but you've got to get information from other systems, right? And then we also build in Softer and Stacker, which are front end solutions, which allow our users to create portals so that their team, their clients, their stakeholders can access data, but only limited data. Because when you share Airtable, you're sharing the whole thing. And so Stacker and Softer are excellent tools as well that integrate beautifully. Now, that said, we touch all kinds of different tools out there. I mean, any no-code tool that integrates with Zapier, there's a good use case that you're going to want to store information back in Airtable at some point. And the reason for that is, I use Stripe to do our payment, invoicing and whatnot.
Yes.
I don't like to log into Stripe. I'd much rather log into one place. Where are all my projects? Is that invoice paid? And see if it's paid in my system, I don't have to go into Stripe to find out, right?
Yes.
And so that's why, we talk about Airtable as that single source of truth where we can see from all the different systems, we get all the information consolidated. So if you're building in DocuPilot, if you're building with Calendly, if you're using any of the scheduling apps, any kind of payment processing, any kind of accounting, all of those tools, if you like them siloed, great. But if you want to kind of build a place where they can all work together, Airtable is going to gel really well with that.
Yeah, and let's say at the moment you've got a sales CRM that's your single source of truth. For example, we use Copper. That's where I want all of the information, and then we disperse it out. So does Airtable, would Airtable become the single source, and then the information's pushed into Copper, or like how would that work? And I say Copper, it could be HubSpot, Pipedrive, any of the sales CRMs.
Yeah. So Airtable can work as your CRM if you choose to use it as one. So you could essentially eliminate the need for a CRM, or you can work with it in parallel, right? So your sales team can work in Pipedrive, Copper, what have you, to nurture leads and all of that. And then maybe at a certain point, the contact information is brought out of Copper, like when you actually kick off a project or when you're ready to start an onboarding process. So Airtable is excellent. Airtable excels when you have another tool that it has boundaries, that you can't get it to do this extra thing you want. Maybe you want to send out a work agreement for signature and create an invoice and attach it to that work agreement and make sure that this all gets done before you move on with this client. But maybe your CRM doesn't integrate well with, whatever DocuSign or whatever tool. No problem. Bring that onboarding process into Airtable, and it's going to talk to all those other tools.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, you can find out more about what Gareth's doing at Gap Consulting. It's a .com. Is that right?
My website is garethpronovost.com, but check us out on YouTube as well. Just search for Gap Consulting and you'll find us there for sure.
Yeah, brilliant. And we'll have all those links in the show notes. And also, Gareth's kindly given a discount for if you want to join Airtable. So if you just go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/Airtable, there'll be a coupon, or there'll be an opportunity to get a discount off Airtable. And I must say, I've tried to live without Airtable. I tried to consolidate tools, and we used ClickUp to basically replace Airtable. And I got to say, it didn't work. And now we're back using Airtable as well as ClickUp. But it's a fantastic tool if you haven't used it. So you can use it for your business. If you're running your business, you can use it, but also for your clients as well. And, like as Gareth goes more into enterprise, if you've got clients that have got this gap, reach out to Gareth to do that. So wonderful having you on the show today, Gareth, and I'm sure we'll have you back on at another time to see this journey, especially as you go now more and more into enterprise. And next time I'd like to talk about the team, right? Because as you grow this thing now, you've got to build that team, and I'd love to come back for you to talk about that.
Oh, love to do that, Paul. Thanks. This has been awesome.
That was a great interview with Gareth. I really loved how he laid out that YouTube format so you can make a start on that and how that links into the list. If you got value of it, please share that value and maybe a photo of this podcast with Gareth on LinkedIn and just mention him at Gareth Pronovost. You can also get that offer that we spoke about at the end, which is the discount into Airtable. So it's paulhigginsmentoring.com/Airtable, and we'll have that in the links below. All the links will be here. As I said, you can get both the show notes at paulhigginsmentoring.com, and you can also ask for a full transcript to get all the details of that YouTube layout if you haven't had a chance to write it down. And why not share it with whether it's 1, 10 of your friends that could get value from this, and they'll think you're a rock star, and you'll feel pretty good as well. And also check out some of our solo shows. And finally, don't forget that free Slack community for cloud consultants, cloudconsultantscollective.com. Next week's guest is Kylie Harker. She's a good friend from Australia, and she'll be talking about Zoho and how she's been building her Zoho agency, which she's been at it a long time, and she's been doing a brilliant job. The last thing, as always, please take action to accelerate your sales.
I'm fired up after today's episode. What about you? But hey, before you go, learning is just one piece of the puzzle. Now it's time to put today's strategy into action. Head over now to today's show page at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast and share how you'll put it into action. Be sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, rate, and review the show. Tell me what your favorite episode is. And don't wait 1 minute more to gain access to your pulse check at paulhigginsmentoring.com. This could be the difference between struggling to get more leads and making this next quarter your best one yet.